What a time to be alive, because Berserk is here. As you can see by the smile on my face, I'm incredibly happy to see chapter 352 of Berserk out. Finally, a good translation just came out earlier this morning. Finally got around to reading it, and oh my god, I'm so glad to have this series back. Oh, because, as I said, I've said it many times, but just in case you're new to my channel, and this is your first Berserk video you've ever seen me make, Berserk is my favorite manga. Plain and simple. It's easily my favorite manga. I have a shrine. I legit have a shrine of Berserk right there. I have all of the volumes just sitting up there with Guts and Griffith facing each other with their swords like figurines, all that. I love Berserk. It's my favorite. It is legit my favorite series, favorite manga of all time, and I'm so glad to have it back. And better news than ever is that we're having a chapter next month as well. So we can look forward to this not being the last chapter for a year or 6 months or whatever. There will be more. But there is something even better I've been hearing. Now, this could be inaccurate. This could just be a little whisper in the wind. But this is a rumor I have been hearing. And I kind of want to talk about this before I dive into the chapter. Now, like I said, what I'm about to say, take it with a grain of salt. Does not mean that it's going to happen. But it is a whisper I've been hearing in the wind. Apparently, it could likely be a possibility Berserk could be coming back permanently for, publication every single month. For instance, Kentaro might actually start releasing consecutive chapters every month without going on, brief hiatuses, which would be very nice to see. Maybe that would mean that he's finally getting into gear and about to kick into, high gear where he could finally conclude this series. Because when you really think about the story of Berserk, we're probably pretty far into this series. There's probably not a whole lot of content left. I mean, I highly doubt there's another, 400 chapters. I believe we probably have maybe another 100 to 150 or 200 at max chapters left of the series. And if he really wants to get into it, he really dives into the world building and all that, it could potentially end in under 100 chapters. So, I don't believe there is a lot of things left for Berserk. I mean, the world is massive. The astral layers are massive. There could be a lot of, depth there if, Kentaro wants to go into that. Now, I mean, he's a really great world builder and all that, so he could potentially do that. But I have been hearing that there is a rumor going on that Berserk could be coming back. And if it is, that truly makes me happy. But anyways, let's just be happy for what we got right now, because this just came out before Christmas, okay? This is a Christmas present, okay? I mean, I know many of you don't probably care about the holidays. I know there's many out there that either don't care or they don't even celebrate it, even if it's, your family celebrates. I know there's many out there, and I understand that feeling. I understand, but even then, though, I'm glad to see it back. I'm glad to have Berserk here, because it always makes me smile just to see a new Berserk chapter out. Regardless of how short it is, or how it doesn't have a lot really going on, I'm just very happy to see it, because it's easily one of the best manga I have ever read. Anyways, getting right into it, this chapter, I think it only has 16 pages, and it's a very short chapter. Just to be completely honest, it's a short chapter. There's not a lot of progression, so to say, it wasn't massive. But at the same time, though, I'm not disappointed. I'm not unhappy with the chapter, because it's Berserk, okay? I'll be honest, I'm incredibly biased when it comes to Berserk. But, I mean, if you were looking forward to maybe having 30 or so pages, or having a whole lot of progression, then you might be a little bit disappointed with this chapter, because there wasn't a lot in this chapter. There wasn't, but it was still a fun chapter. So, if this video is a little bit smaller than normal, it does make sense. I could definitely see this video hitting maybe around 8 minutes, between 10 minutes. It'll definitely probably be around that large. But, yeah. Anyways, speaking of the artwork, okay, I think by now I don't really need to talk about it, but it still needs to be mentioned, because it's just so amazing to see Kentaro's art style and how it's changed over the years. I remember when I started Berserk, and I remember reading Volume 1, and the art looked so good. But then as I carried on, I continued to read Berserk, the art just continued to improve and improve and improve, and it continued to improve until the latest volumes. It still continuously improves, and it's just whoa, Kentaro, do you have, no end to how much you develop with your art? And the art in this chapter was oh, it was good. It was good. It was, I was like, this right here, I want to see someone color. I want to see someone color, okay? Color this chapter. I really want to see it, okay? If anyone's really, really good at coloring, I mean, I'm pretty good, but I'm not the best. If anyone's really good, I would love to see someone color some pages or panels from this, especially the Berserker Hound, Guts, at the end of the chapter. I would love that. Please, someone do that. Please, someone color that. That's something I really want to see. But, anyways, art style overall, beautiful. I think by now we can all agree that Kentaro is one of the best artists when it comes to, you know, manga in general, but that also is subjective and a little bit biased coming from me, but still, it's just very beautiful artwork, and so no disappointment at all when it comes to that. Now, speaking of the actual story, however, we get to see little brief glimpses of, once again, of the fragments of Kostka's memory. As we know, we're getting closer and closer to the main origin of what caused Kostka's mind to break. And obviously, as we continue to get closer and closer, we're going to start seeing more demons, we're going to start seeing more of Griffith, we're going to start seeing some darker aspects of Kostka's mind. And as we know with the last chapter that came out, we had a lot of, a lot of D's all the way around. Okay, we saw that Kostka's mind was full with the D. And it's, jokes aside, it makes a lot of sense because of what happened to Kostka and what that represented to her and, what happened to her child and also in front of Guts. So it makes sense why her mind would have that kind of, little realm in her mind and showcasing that because it really messed her up. But we also see in this chapter, we see a couple of demons pop up. And these demons, just an FYI, if you ever went back to reread Volume 13, The Eclipse, which I'm going to be honest, I don't really go back and read that volume much because it's a... Oh, I like dark stuff, okay? I think everybody by now knows I love dark themed series and stuff. But even for me, that entire volume is just like, bro, it's too much for me at some points. Like, I try to not read it as much as possible. Not because I hate it, not because it's bad, it's just, like, it really affects me on an emotional level, because I'm like, yo, these characters, and how much they went through and developed, Guts in general, and Kostka, I'm like, that scene it just really hits me right here. And so, as you see with the demon popping up, in the chapter, when you see an actual form of it, that demon was the demon underneath Kostka, which looked like it was actually, having actual intercourse with Kostka in Volume 13. And so, it makes sense why she would actually have a demon that type of shape, and because that's probably the origin of where it all started, and that's probably the one she actually remembers the most, because she was looking down right at it. So it's pretty messed up when you think about it like that. But we also get to see kind of Griffith in this chapter as well. We see like this, Griffith apparition in the sky, flying and all that, and you see how they're trying to stop it, and it actually grabs the casket which Kostka is in, and also Guts, which is chained up. Now, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this or not, but I really like the fact that Guts is chained up to the casket, which is technically Kostka, because it represents the relationship between Guts and Kostka. Ever since the beginning after the eclipse, we know what happened to Kostka. She's effectively like, she's brain dead. She can't do much. She's a child because she's just been mind destroyed. Her mind is completely messed up, mind broken. And Guts, ever since then, he's tried to protect her. He's went out of his way to help her out, make sure she's safe, and over time, he realized it was just too much for him to handle. He couldn't do it, and so eventually he had to rely on Farnese and, Serpico, Shurike, and all that. He had to rely on them just for he could be able to continue to move forward. He actually had to start relying on others, which was a big step for Guts' character, because he didn't want to have anyone. After everything he lost, he didn't want to have that loss, pain of loss ever again, so he separated himself from others. He isolated himself, but he couldn't stop himself from being around people because he needed them for he could have help with Kostka. And as we know, ever since he's had Kostka, it's kind of like she's been, no offense to Kostka fans or whatever, and you like Guts and Kostka's relationship, I like it too, but Kostka is effectively like a weight, like a 10-ton weight strapped to Guts, and he's having to drag it constantly on his back throughout the entire series. And I'm not putting down Kostka, it's just because of her condition and what she's been through, Guts has basically had weight on his shoulders he's constantly had to pull. And the casket being chained to him, it effectively means that. It means that Guts has this chain to Kostka, and he cannot separate from her. No matter what she goes through, he will always be attached and tied to her. And I like when, the apparition of Griffith came in and he grabbed the casket. You see Guts just dangling from the chain and all that while it's attached to the casket. I'm like, that's a really cool message there, Kentaro. He did a really good job because it represents what Guts does. I mean, regardless of how bad it looks or how strong the opponent is, Guts will go in because he is tied to Kostka. He will give up his own life for Kostka. We know how he is. So I like that. It's just a really cool message there. I may have already talked about this, and you may already have understood this, and you may not care for me even stating this again, but I just like that. It just, little things like that, I just truly appreciate from this series, and that is why I love Berserk. Anyways, we also have all the other, like, fetishes come in and all that. We have all the different spirits and stuff that, you know, Shurike summons, and that made me very pleased to see that, once again, all this updated, you know, art style for these individual, you know, spirits and stuff that, you know, Shurike was able to summon. And then we also had Serpico make an appearance in this chapter, and I'm like, yo, that makes me happy. I mean, Serpico isn't my favorite, but he's a very good character. I don't think there's really a character I necessarily hate in the series. Like, you know, I don't like. I mean, there's, like, personalities I hate, but I don't actually hate a character. And Serpico, I like his character. I do. And seeing him back again, I'm like, I'm glad, because it's actually been a while since we have seen him. I mean, it's been 6 months, 8 months since we've seen him or whatever. It's been a while. It's been a legit long time. So I'm glad to see him back and all that. I'm glad he had a little bit of spotlight, even though it was his Kate doing the work. I'm glad to see that, and he managed to save Guts and Kostka, which, once again, that was a little bit symbolic to show that Guts can't do everything by himself. He needs others to help him out. If it wasn't for, you know, Farnese, Shurike, or Serpico helping him out on his journey, he wouldn't have made it this far. That's also what that scene represented when Serpico popped up and saved Guts. So it just shows that without these others, he would not be able to get out of the hellhole that he once was in. So anyways, besides that, we also had the Berserker armor pop up. Now, this scene in particular, I did not know how much I needed to see Hound Guts with Berserker armor on. It legit is just like, bro, that is quality. Straight quality. And I don't know if anyone else was getting this image in their head when they were reading that part of the chapter, but I really want to see Berserker Hound Guts, okay? With his Dragon Slayer weapon in his mouth. Now, all I can think of when I think of that is Sif, like the wolf from Dark Souls. Anyone that's played Dark Souls knows what I'm talking about. You know, Sif from Dark Souls, the boss that, you know, one of the greatest bosses, and I was really sad I had to take that boss down. That moment when Kintaro could potentially be referencing Dark Souls, if that does happen. Like, I would love to see that. I would love to see Guts, Hound Guts, with the Berserker armor, having the Dragon Slayer in his mouth, and he's just, like, slicing all that, doing spins, like Sif from Dark Souls. I'm like, that would be epic. That would legit be epic. Like, yo, I want that. I want that so bad. I want that. Please, Kintaro. Like, give me that. Give me that, please. Give me that quality. I would love that. So, yeah, just, was I the only one to get that, you know, mental image when I saw that happen in this chapter? Please tell me I was not the only one. But that's about it. I mean, the chapter overall, like I said, it was a very short chapter, and even though it lacked a lot of content in terms of progression-wise, it still doesn't mean it was a bad chapter. It was a very good chapter. Glad to have it back, because any Berserk chapter is good to me. And yeah, well, looks like we can look forward to a new chapter next month, and potentially we could be having it back for a long-term while. So I'm glad to have that. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, you know, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And just a brief FYI, if you have noticed you haven't been getting notifications to when I upload videos, make sure to click the bell icon next to the subscribe button. Because for some reason, when you click the subscribe button, there's a lot of times now where you don't even get notified when someone uploads a video. And so if you're one of those individuals that notice I upload a video and you're not getting notified, click the bell icon. Now, however, even if you don't care personally about me and my content and all of that, at the very least, do that for other YouTubers that you do want to watch, because it also will help them out. You'll also get notified when they upload videos as well, so make sure to do that. So I love you guys, happy holidays, and this is a great Christmas present, so please be safe. Chibi out.